Hey guys, welcome. Don't leave. I'll come back with a topic here. Hey guys, welcome. Welcome. Now I got to turn this speaker off here. And yes, our topic will be a little bit deeper discussion about doxing and how it relates to what I talked about with biometrics and facial recognition and all that, but just some specific issues related to you're exhausted in the hot. Summer is coming. It's cold here. It's not hot. Nothing's changed. Still cold. So California's cold because we're in global warming. So it's very cold. So nothing has changed for us. It's still winter here. I'm still wearing a sweater. So probably should still wear a scarf, right? So topic tonight is about hello, cheap fame. Hello, is YouTube okay? Anybody on YouTube right now? Let me switch to YouTube here. Hold on a second. I don't notice anybody talking on YouTube, so I don't know. Was there a problem? Is anyone on YouTube right now? What is Doxxing tonight? News from hey mate. Hello, Daryl. Okay. Let me see. There. Okay, there it is. Okay, it's coming up. Okay, I was just wondering why nobody was making a comment, and I said, that was kind of strange. So anyway, there we are. So hello, Puzzles and Tiremeyer, AMG, Sharp Eagle, A to the V, and that's it on the ones that would have comment on YouTube, because I can only see the ones to comment. I don't know who else is on there. If you don't make a comment, I don't know that if you're there or not. Now here on Periscope we have let's see who do we have here. I see Great Gold, Moira, Gary, Cheap Fame. Who else? What did I miss? Wallywood, Jay Colby, Liv Vendy. There you go. So, so welcome, guys. Welcome to hello, Eagle Soars. The Zucking Mr. Clappers here. Okay, so this is kind of a complex night, complex topic, and you know, I'm never going to give you a boring topic. I can tell you that. It's always going to be interesting. You know, I don't just come here and just talk, you know, extemporaneously. I do research. You help me fall asleep. That bad, huh? Was that bad? So I don't just do my broadcast extemporaneously, you know, unplanned. I do, you know, I have to spend a lot of time during the day planning this out, you know, to make sure that, you know, I've researched the topics, and even with a topic that takes 2 to 3 hours to go through. So, you know, that's, you know, not bad, hard to stay up late some nights. So, but I'm, you know, I want to make sure that I absolutely do my best to give you the best content, that I'm not just wasting your time. I want to make sure your time is productive, that you actually learn from what I'm talking about, and that you find some value in it. And hopefully that, yeah, this is running 12.2. Running okay. I didn't notice anything yet. So everything seems fine. Anyway, what I want to focus on is a little bit deeper look into doxing, and part of my deeper look was to connected to Face ID yesterday, but then as I was looking at this, I decided there's some interesting issues that need to be answered, and that is some of the issues about how doxing is used. And I want to tell you how doxing is used, and how this is something for you to fear. And this is why I'm teaching you how to protect yourself against doxing. So the protection from doxing is kind of a given. We talk about that all the time, you know, get a VPN, have pseudo-anonymity, and so on. You know, the 4 basic rules I put on. There's a video in there on how to have privacy on the internet, the top 4, and I gave you four things to do to do that, and one of them was to get a VPN, to leave Facebook, to have pseudo anonymity, and I forget what the final one was. Somebody can remind me what the 4th one was. But I had to pick out of many. I just picked 4, just four main ones. I know the top 3 is have a VPN, have pseudo anonymity, and Facebook, and get out of Facebook. Those are the top 3. You know, but beyond that, there could be 100 other rules, and the problem is which one do you put in the top 4? Because I'm just trying to give you something that, you know, to be able to to bite through and say, okay, we're going to accomplish some of this. And some of you have done so. I'm proud of some of you who have actually changed your name here on the internet and have actually removed your real name. Some of you have, you know, removed your last name and just put an initial, things like that. And that's very positive to see. No, I don't think that was number 4. No, browser isolation is one of the things you need to do, but I don't know if that was in my top 4 or top 5 video. I think I limited to, no, there was something else. I thought about that. That would have been, browser isolation would have been, browser isolation would have been one of them, but it was kind of like connected with some other ones that were a little bit higher in priority, so I had to think about it. Hello, Rainbow Trail. So anyway, we're not necessarily talking about the solutions right now, but I want you to know that a lot of the stuff that we are talking about right now will be hard to do against you if you have a VPN, have pseudo anonymity, and are not on Facebook. Those 3 alone would make a big dent in protecting your privacy. And I forget the rest that were in the video that certainly browser isolation, using Tor and all that are on there, and there's so many things that you got to do, including in cybersecurity. And all of this are all concerns that we need to apply to be safe. But right now, what I want to talk about is what if you didn't do anything. I want you to understand the effects of doxing, what doxing really is, and it's and what your recourse is if you get doxed. Someone came in here to my broadcast, some lawyer or a couple of lawyers or 2 or 3 lawyers came to my broadcast and said that doxing was illegal. And my understanding was that no, it was not, and then I had to research back. So now I have more information, and to show you that it's kind of a gray area, and I will actually show you that in some cases it is illegal, in some cases it's not, in some cases it's disputed, and then we'll talk about how it's used. So introducing you to the word first. So some of you may not know what it's not that simple, tribe. So as you just listen in, because it's not that simple. I wish it were so simple, but it's not. Okay? It never is in this world, you know. So the best way to do it is just avoid being doxed. Okay? Avoid being doxed, because once you get into it, you may not have a recourse. Recourse is very limited. Brooklyn Turk, one step at a time. We're not there yet. That'll be at the end. That'll be at the end. Not right now. We're not going to discuss legality right now. I'm going to talk about how doxing is used first. And when you know about simmer down. Okay, so when we talk about how doxing is used, then we can understand later what context, if that's legal or illegal. We need to understand the context, because doxing means a lot of things to different people. First of all, what does doxing mean? Okay, doxing came from the word docs, D-O-C-S, docs, documents. So everyone in computer land refers to documents as docs. In fact, when I do programming, I always refer to documents as docs. They're not doctors, they're documents. Okay? So when when I'm trying to create documents, I often will make a docs folder. And there's, of course, a documents folder on your computer. Now, when you drop the docs on somebody, meaning publish documents on somebody, like publish their social security card or driver's license, then that is where the word doxing came from. And doxing actually started to be infamous because of Anonymous. So Anonymous was being one of the first things that Anonymous did was I believe, showing that there was a flaw in AT&T, in AT&T's database, and then somebody showed the contents, excuse me, of a file on AT&T, and that person from Anonymous got arrested and was sent to jail. He has been since released. I think he won an appeal, if I recall. I'm not certain now. But and then they were fighting against Scientology, if you recall. In any case, no, it's Lulzsec is the one who flipped. Yes, he's a white supremacist now. So anyway, the anonymous people said, okay, we're going to fight back by publishing the names of the agents, FBI agents, who are trying to catch us. So they did that. That kind of doxing against federal agents. Okay. So that's been done. Then they doxed the Ku Klux Klan people. Things like that happened, and so the word doxing became famous back then. You know, this was some years back. Okay, Hector Mutz is a G. Hector Munziger is a what? Anyway, well, now he is. Well, okay. Let's stick to the topic here then. So anyway, that started then, and it's been used in the internet, you know, in many hello twin mom. Yeah, I know. Come on. We all watched the movie, the Anonymous movies. Yes. He died too. Oh, goodness, I'm so confused now. Now they're all security experts, yeah, making big bucks. Same as Kevin Mitnick. Yep. Good job. I'm trying to remember the dude who did the AT&T thing. A young guy. A young guy. Anyway, you know, even on Periscope, we have a lot of doxing incidents. I'll tell you a specific one here. Some groups attacked each other. There's a kind of a MAGA group here on Periscope. For those on YouTube, you may not know that, but this happened on Periscope. There's a kind of a MAGA group, and they splintered. This one MAGA group splintered, and they start attacking each other. Who knows why? I guess that's up to themselves to figure out. I have nothing to do with that. I got attacked too, even though I'm not I'm not involved. But it really got really bad, because what happened was they started to dox each other. They actually made YouTubes of each other, publishing things like prison records and stuff like that. I mean, full names, addresses, stuff like that. And they put that on the internet. And it got so bad that, just to show you examples of what happened, where people start knocking on your door saying, you're selling your furniture. So we're here to look at the furniture you're selling. We're contacting you because it said on Craigslist that you wanted a threesome. It's just every other kind of possibility that you can make to harass somebody. That was being done on using the information gathered. It was beyond just revealing the name of the person. It turned into that kind of personal attack. We were actually physically sending people over to the house. Now, in today's world, that's actually very common now. The most common trick is the pizza trick. So if you don't like somebody, you dox them, and then order pizza. Payable in cash. So you dox them and you order pizza and pay it to be paid in cash. So that they show up and knock on your door and said, well, hey, hello, John. They show up and knock on your door and hi, Periscope survivors. I just said what doxing is. Doxing is came from the word documents, which is to publish personal documents that identify your identity. Jay, you're going to say, he's wearing the same sweater. Zuck. Okay, now, so once I find out your identity, I can harass you and or harass is kind of a, maybe not be the right word here, but I want to play a trick on you. I'll order pizza and say, I want to order pizza and have them delivered to your house. Okay, that's pretty common among gamers attacking each other. So in the gaming world, when they want to dox somebody, they dox somebody and they order pizza. Okay, but hello, Jason Park. But the word has it's gotten a lot worse recently, and one of the worst things that they've used this for is called swatting. So doxing is one thing, and then there's swatting. Swatting came from the word SWAT. Okay. Special Weapons Assault Team. Is that what that stands for? SWAT, of course, is TV show and movie about the special forces division of the police department. Primarily started in L.A. And the movies were all in L.A., of course. So swatting is when somebody calls. In fact, Ted Lieu, my representative, Ted Lieu, Special Weapons and Tactics. There you go. Okay, Special Weapons and Tactics. Okay. So swatting actually was done against Ted Lieu, who's my representative in Congress. And what they did was somebody was angry with him because he wanted to file a swatting law, and somebody then swatted him and called the SWAT team and said that Ted Lieu murdered his wife. And so SWAT came over and basically told the I believe the wife and the maid or somebody to have their hands up, because Ted Lieu was not in the house at the time, and had him come out. So that is swatting. Now swatting, I believe, resulted in somebody getting shot recently. Okay, so somebody got shot from the swatting because and I believe that person who called the SWAT was arrested and went to jail. Okay, that swatting is very, very dangerous. For one, you're putting people in the position of having to confront police with guns, and they don't know what's going on, and so that's very, very dangerous. And if the cops kill the guy, then the other guy that called the SWAT will be the one accused of murder. Yeah, gamers. So swatting is a very common thing done by gamers, and it's very, very deadly thing. The thing about the swatting is, of course, it's an anonymous phone call, so they will try their best to be anonymous and do things so they never get spotted when they do it. I once swatted a full fly. Horrifying. Anyway, so swatting is an implementation of doxing, taking it to a level that's highly, highly, highly dangerous. Okay, let me show you another example of how doxing is used. So swatting is one of them. Pizza is one of them. Sending you pizza, that's one. Okay. Another one is totally, I believe that it resulted in some people committing suicide, and that was the Ashley Madison leak. I don't know if you recall the Ashley Madison leak. In fact, I didn't know what Ashley Madison was until after this leak. Okay. It's outlawed in some states. I don't think they've figured it out in all the states, but it's outlawed in some states. Anyway, Ashley Madison is a affair site, so for married people. And anyway, the database for Ashley Madison became available, and then people then use that to publicly call out individuals they know or they're trying to attack and say, I know you are, you're in the Ashley Madison database, and then start to attack you that way. That kind of doxing. So they find your identity and then match you to Ashley Madison. That's one way of doing it. Here's another one that's interesting, use of doxing. To fight against your political foes with doxing. One example is if you are, let's say you are one of the Antifa followers, and somebody then said, okay, I'm going to dox you guys from Antifa and come up with a list, and then I'm going to go post information and send it to the employers. So you all lose your jobs. So that's one way it's used. It's for a political purpose, to shame somebody and then to make them lose their jobs. Now, people have lost their jobs many a time for having a political belief opposite that of the employer. This is not uncommon. This is why I kind of caution you to have pseudo-anonymity. Some of you are so blatant on the sucking internet with your politics, You're all like Ron Waxman. You're just so aggressive on the internet with your politics. And you don't realize, hello, Crystal, my friend. You don't realize the danger that puts you, because it narrows you down into making 50% of the people your enemies. And the extreme parts of that, if you're on the extreme, the other extreme want to consider you a real enemy. So if you're going to do that, why don't you consider to be pseudo-anonymous? And then why don't you implement procedures to keep yourself from being doxxed? Why not? Then you can feel free to do whatever you want. But some of you are not thinking ahead. You're like so active in politics, and you didn't even say, well, maybe I should protect my identity first before I start doing that. But no, you can't help yourselves. Oh my gosh. I got to speak out against Trump. I got to do it every waking hour. I'm not going to hide my identity because I can't hold myself for a day. Suck. So people, think, plan it out. The internet is not a safe place. Okay. So plan it out. Don't just go out there and act like you can just go out there and feel like this is not going to hurt you. It will. So reporting to employers. What that video of that woman on a bike that was flipping Trump, I believe, lost her job. Who else? There's so many of this that, if it doesn't reflect the image of the employer will say, well, I don't really care what your position is. Hello, open source. I don't really care what your position is, as long if it makes our company look bad. We don't want you here. That's expected. So if you lost your job because you're stupid enough to not even be able to hold yourself back, knowing that everything you do is a public record, and that you are creating an image and you're representing a company, the company may not like what you represent because it's bad for advertising. It's the same reason they pull out of advertising on YouTube channels that are getting too political, for the same exact reason. They don't want you as an employee. So hold back with your sucking identity and be careful of being doxxed, because it may bite you in the sucking butt when it comes to employment. Then you talk about public shaming. Public shaming. Here's a specific example. I'm going to give you, a specific example here. So I guess the Rolling Stones published an article about gang rape in the University of Virginia campus. And then then Rolling Stones apologized, saying the article wasn't accurate. So a bunch of kids, a bunch of boys, were accused of being rapists. Okay, so a journalist said, "Well, I'm going to go, fight back against the woman who claimed rape," and so the journalist doxed the woman and said, "Tell the truth, or I will release your name." Tell the truth, or I'll release your name to the woman. Well, she didn't tell the truth, or she didn't say anything, and then the full name was released, and then the doxers went wild and attacked her some more, and attacked her mother, and basically attacked her entire family. So it was like a totally crazy thing. This is what happens with identity, that you guys, a lot of you like kelps, like, oh, we don't really care about that. You're you're interested in hyper privacy, and you're the hyper privacy guy, and it's like, suck you, mother suckers. I'm talking about basic things here. These are things that hurt us in day-to-day events. We get hurt by this because we don't care about protecting our identity the way I've been telling you, with some simple rules. Simple rules. And I talked to you about the case with people on Periscope, and this is done so many times. Joe Simon was a victim of this so many times, and Joe Simon would go find something at his door. I don't know if he got pizzaed. I don't know if he got a pizza delivery, but he gets a bunch of insults and so on at his door, and this is constant, and it's really nerve-wracking when something happens in your house. It's like somebody knows where you live. Now, it was not a hard thing to find out where Joe Simon lived. I mean, because he's not careful. He wasn't that careful. Well, I mean, I could easily check out where he lived, and it didn't take me more than a few minutes. In a few minutes, I found out where he lived, and there he was receiving a bunch of things at his address, and it just because none of you listen to me, and you don't think that what I talk about has any relevance in real life, so you think, well, what he's talking about is hyper privacy, and we don't need to worry about having a VPN and having pseudo anonymity on the internet and leaving Facebook. We don't need to think about that. So just let me just continue with some examples. Okay, now, if a journalist uses information about doxing in theory for the public interest, for news, in this case, this journalist, his name is Charles Johnson, in this rape case here in University of Virginia. His argument is, well, this is the people need to know the truth. So if you won't reveal the truth, then I'll reveal what I know as a truth, and then you supply the rest. So this is kind of a questionable thing, because obviously the girl who called fake rape is also a bad person, and then similarly the reporter who said, well, I'm going to reveal your real name, was he really truly doing that in the interest of free speech, or was he doing that to get attention? Okay, I know a guy who worked for a car dealership, was in his employment agreement, if he was seen in public drunk, he could be fired. Well, yeah, that's not unusual. That's not unusual. So that many things that have to do with ethics and behavior and all that are part of many employment agreements. So this is nothing new. So nice P plus box. Do you have a P plus box? You haven't bought my software, open source. I use open source software. So anyway, let me give you more example. What about in protest? So can you imagine? Do you remember the what state was that? Was in one of the Carolinas, maybe, when you know, the some Ku Klux Klan and, you know, some people from the Antifa. There was some confrontation between two groups. What if somebody said, okay, I'm gonna, you know, they took a photograph of all the people in the group and then did a doxing attack just from photographs, and then made a public list of who was who and where. Virginia, you zucking dummy. Zuck. So that's an example of a kind of attack that can be done. You take a protest and then identify you, and of course, can you imagine being associated with either one of those groups, Antifa or Ku Klux Klan, and then sending it to your employer? I mean, that's enough to, you know, get some attention there and have you lose jobs. How about this one? How about this as a doxing thing, okay? This was some anti-abortion group said, we're going to create a website and we're going to dox every single abortion provider. Okay? So abortion providers were put onto a list, and they called it a hit list. So they made a hit list, and they actually published, you know, names and addresses and phone numbers and so on of each of the providers' home address, so that they could all be, targets. So that's another thing that was done. Now, you know, doxing can be done in a smaller group. Like I told you this yesterday. There's an app called Churchix. I told you this yesterday. There's an app called Churchix. This is for pastors. Okay, and what happens is you subscribe to this facial recognition site for your church, and then you can see who's at church every Sunday, and then you can, based on that, see maybe who's contributing, who's not contributing, who's absent, and then shame them. Do shaming. Okay, that's kind of a doxing thing too, in a more limited case, because it's doxing in a community. Okay, another way of doxing is when somebody, you know, says, well, you know, we're gonna attack cops and public people by releasing their personal information, on the internet. So, yes, I know you're a cop. I'm going to tell them where you zucking live, you know, that kind of thing. Or you're a congressman and, you know, we know where you live, and things like that. How about this? This is actually also kind of like doxing, but it's a little bit different. And this is saying, I'm going to follow you around, and then I'm going to tweet out your location. Every time you go somewhere, I'm going to tweet it out, so everyone in the public knows where you are at all times. Okay? That is kind of a doxing thing. Okay? So, anyway, having said all this, and you start to understand that doxing can be used at many levels. Some of them, mildly irritating to dangerous. And now the question is doxing legal? Is doxing legal? That's the question that Brooklyn Turk was like, no, of course it's legal. Okay, so this is the time. Where's Brooklyn Turk? So, okay, now it's the time to ask, is doxing legal? Open source. If you saw the video, if you want to spend the time to do it, it is very time consuming to do. My solution is quite elegant, open source, because mine is updated automatically and all that. It's really nice the way I did it. So I have it with updating software. So it just, it's really tedious to do it. I mean, even if you are, a bit of an expert, like I am, and it was still very time consuming to configure and all that. And you actually want to avoid having to do that if you can. I'd rather pay somebody to do it. So even if you're an expert, it really isn't worth your time to do it. Just buy the software. Make your own Raspberry Pi, buy the software. So that's what I suggest, open source. So anyway, where's Brooklyn Turk? Now that we're going to ask the question, is it legal? Then he skips out. Okay, I guess he doesn't want to know if it's legal or not. So there's the question. And there are some sides of this that I actually didn't know until I researched today. So as it turns out, doxing a federal employee, and I mean like Secret Service, DHS, Homeland Security, FBI. Basically, if you dox a law enforcement official doing their job, if you dox a law enforcement official, there's a specific law against that. That will, in fact, be a federal crime. So there is, in fact, a case where that happened. So that is, so you can't like say, well, I'm so mad at the FBI, I'm gonna go dox these guys and post it. Now I don't know what happened to like all those FBI guys that were part of the Trump thing. Did the journalist dox them? I'm curious now. Where would that fall? Would that fall under freedom of speech? Watching from France, almost 6 a.m. Wow, you're awake. But would that fall under freedom of speech because if they were in the news, Schrock and all those other guys, Comey, and if you dox them, because you may want to go wait at their door in case somebody goes and makes an arrest, like they did with Michael Cohen. CNN was right there waiting. Would that be considered publishing their address so that you can be out there knowingly waiting for an arrest? Would that be considered? Hey, Night Eyes, would that be considered illegal? So in the essence of what I understand it to be, it's if you're trying to put a law enforcement official, a federal law enforcement official, in danger by releasing information about them, so you're basically outing them to criminals and other people that want to hurt them, then that would be considered illegal. That would be considered illegal. Journalist dox malware tech. RIP. Who's the RIP again? You keep saying RIP. I don't know who's the who is the RIP. Here's Kelp again. So Kelp believes in doxing. So yes. So doxing a federal law enforcement officer conducting their job, which would in fact endanger their lives, that would be a crime. Is secrecy considered essential for all law enforcement? Why are you asking me that question? That's how we find out who stopped WannaCry. That's how we find out who stopped WannaCry. Who's you? Are you anonymous? Who are you? That's how we found out. Who are you? So anyway, so that apparently there's a statute that relates specifically to releasing information about federal law enforcement officials in the doing their job, because then you're actually making them targets to, against people who they're trying to fight, like, drug lords and whatever. So that there's a specific statute against that. The problem is even that could be misused, and the question of how that could be misused is the case I'm just mentioning about. What about Sherlock Comey and all these guys in the FBI who were doing shenanigans while they were in office? What is that? How do you if you release doxing data about them, would that be considered illegal or not? Because they're now part of the news. They're no longer some hidden law enforcement official. So probably I'm going to say that's a gray area with freedom of speech. I would say that would be a gray area. All the forum posts that a kill lady ended up in the press word for word. So I saw a video. I was thinking about, reading something earlier here. Cyber laws are mostly gray area. So since some lawyers are ultra, polarized with their belief that they actually go out there and say all doxing is illegal. I went to this website of this lawyer that says all doxing is illegal. This is what this lawyer said. So, which is exactly opposite of what this Kelp said. So this lawyer said all doxing is illegal. Then she went into a whole diatribe of why that is, citing the case of that guy who was arrested for doxing a federal official, FBI agent, and her face. So it was a her. So anyway, and then she said, well, it's illegal even if it's addressed to a average person. Doxing is illegal, and she gave a whole bunch of logic that there are all these laws against it. And then I went to another website. And it talked about that doxing is quite legal in most cases, and went to some of the exceptions. So basically, this is what I gathered from this, and this is why it's such a gray area. Okay, so the actual reality is, in most cases, there is no specific doxing law. There is no, except for the federal agent side. Okay, and even that's questionable because freedom of speech question may be involved, especially if you're a journalist. So that aside, we're going to set aside the question of federal law enforcement for a moment and focus specifically on the average person. So an average person getting doxed, what recourse do you have? Do you have a recourse? Can you stop somebody from doxing you in Periscope? Okay, well, the problem here, guys, is that doxing itself, there's no specific law that relates to doxing. There may be in some other countries, but in the United States, there is no specific law about doxing itself. What there are specific laws against are what you do with the data and how you handle it. And the words are used that I want you to think about are harassment. Well, some of them are actually, there's some words that are, some people were trying to make it a stronger word, like annoy, offend, abuse. Now that didn't pass, but that's an example of where they're trying to stretch this. But at the moment, it's about harassment and having fear for your life. That would be covered. Damage reputation is defamation. That's something else. That's defamation. So defamation is a completely different category. But if you've done nothing wrong, who cares if you get doxxed? Look at this guy. Look at this guy. I just went through all the Kelp again. Just has to say something that is so out of context. I just told you about all the dangerous things that people did did with doxing. And Kelp says, well, I mean, you know, who cares? If you didn't do anything wrong, who cares? I just told you how it's used against you. I just told you how, you know, it can be used to scare you, how it can be used to your employer, so you usually lose your sucking job. Okay? And you're telling me, oh, who cares about doxing? I mean, I don't care about that. Oh, that's not important. That's hyper privacy. We don't really care about doxing. I beg to differ, Kelp. I wish you would really post on YouTube, Kelp. I wish you would post on YouTube, because I want your comments right on the text on YouTube here, so people can see what you're saying. I wish you would post your comments on YouTube. Cyberbullying, that would be you know, that actually doesn't even pass the test there. So the words that are used are harassment, stalking, and causing fear of your life. Harassment, stalking, and fear of your life. That's some of the words that are used when it's used in a criminal or civil kind of case. Don't wish. If you want, yes, Kelp, you know, people need to see how important your comments are, and we need to see it, you know, written on the video itself. Big data would overpass Big Brother. So anyway, the question is, and this is the real this is the real danger here, is understanding, you know, what doxing is and how it crosses into all of this. So if you say, okay, that the doxing is leading to harassment, because some of you are saying, I'm being harassed on Periscope and I'm going to go to the police. So in theory, depending on the state, you can go to your local police. I remember Duty Ron saying, you know, if you're being harassed, go to your local police. So he was saying that. So if you know who it is, if you can know who it is, okay? Here's the reality, though. Harassment, at worst, is a misdemeanor. At worst, it's a misdemeanor. Okay? It's not even a felony. It's a misdemeanor, at worst, if you can prove it. And if you have a pseudo, if you're dealing with somebody anonymous and you can't prove it, then basically they can't do anything. Okay? Can't do anything. So this is why I tell you, this is why I keep repeating to you that please understand that the solution is actually in prevention. Because you can't really rely on the law to protect you against harassment, because in a anonymous kind of internet environment, then you are kind of zucked because you don't know who is doing it, and then you have to prove it in court. And how do you prove that in court? You know, you're going to have like IP addresses and any number of pieces of data that you don't likely have, and you're likely going to guess, and you can't be certain about somebody's identity, and the police aren't certain, they're not going to make an arrest, and the local police may not have access because the guy who's doing it is in Timbuktu, and you're in Los Angeles. Well, it's not going to help. Hello, Holistic Deb, my friend. You don't talk to me anymore, Holistic Deb. You forgot your account on Brax. Come on, say hello. Say hello once in a while. There are different laws in every state. Have you ever been harassed on Periscope, Deb? Have you ever been harassed? So that's the problem, is we think that there's actually a legal recourse, and actually the reality is pretty hard to get a legal recourse. So the solution is prevention. You got to think like me here. Prevention. There's no actual way to do recourse. I'm getting organized, and yes, I'm harassed a lot. You mean trolled? You mean you're trolled a lot? See, that's a problem. Trolling is one. For example, look at my case. I get trolled here, and somebody comes in here saying, "Hey, you chink, open your eyes so you can get back from China." You know, I get that all the time here, right? And then I respond by saying, you know, I'll fucking dox you. Actually, if I say that, if I say that, then actually I'm the one who's putting myself at risk, not them. So people get my email address and send me messages getting mad I didn't say hi. Oh my gosh, let's take Deb. Crazy. But be careful, Deb. Listen to me, watch my videos a little bit more often so you get some of my advice. But please, be careful. Be careful. That's what Brax is for safety. Some of us needs a Brax so you don't have to give an email. If you say, I need to get back in my safety track. For example, Deb, when I tell people to contact me, I said contact me on Brax. So on Brax, they don't know who I am. I don't know who they are. I don't have to reveal an email address, which is very, very revealing in itself. Okay? If you want me to prove it to you, Deb, email me, and then, I'll tell you what I see. Email me, and then I'll tell you what I see, and then you'll say, uh-oh. Okay? So email is very, very revealing, and, especially if you don't have a VPN. If you don't have a VPN, it will identify so many things about you. I did that to a hacker online. I have to figure out all the Brax because I need to do that safety. Yeah, so one of the things, as an example, Deb, is you go and tell people, contact me here and give them a Brax ID. Even if you just use it just for that. My VPN is not a honeypot because I use it myself. So, even if you say, contact me here, so it's a safe place versus saying, contact me on some social media, where you have no recourse. So that's one of the, some of the things that, that's why I don't email. I don't email. So if Tribe View here wants to email me and say, I want to tell you about, Hector, or whatever his name is. And because I have some secret information about Hector, and I'm going to say, yes, Deb, you got to be careful because, that's why I teach you this. That's why I teach you this, teach you all this. Let me find out. He's sniffing everyone's traffic via his VPN. Yeah, find out. Tribe's View, find out. So, anyway, harassment is a state law in many, many states, not necessarily every state, but a lot of states have a law. Thank you, Deb. Thank you, my friend. Harassment is a law that exists in many states. Stalking, anti-stalking laws exist in many states. The problem is what constitutes stalking. Here again, is internet stalking the same as physical stalking? Okay? So it's hard to draw a line. For example, a troll attacks me here on my scope, and I said, I'm going to find out who you are, meaning I'm doxing him. I don't actually reveal the information, but I know who you are, so then I know how to defend against you if you try to do something against me. Would that be doxing? Yes, it is doxing, because that's the definition of what doxing is, but is it illegal? Well, I haven't done anything, neither did I exhibit any evil intent with it, neither did I intend to harass. In fact, I'm the one being harassed. I'm using it for defense. How would that figure in the law? I'm not sure. I got to be more careful here sometimes. Okay? I got to be more careful. When I'm saying I'm going to, hello, Stella, when I say I'm doxing, I don't, I actually have never revealed information out in public to anyone on a broadcast. So, I know who you are, but that doesn't mean that, that I actually publish information about anyone in a public place. According to the law, simply the intent of doing it is bad enough. So if I have the intent of getting information about a federal agent for the purpose of revealing it, even if I did not actually get to reveal it, that would be a crime according to that law, according to that lawyer. A little bit extreme because, they have to prove that you actually intended to use it rather than just threaten it. Because people threaten, in a joking way. I remember when Alex Jones said this, and then that got him shut down on several social media. There's no doubt it's complicated. If you call somebody a name and they harmed themselves, is that harassment? I think our rights and our emotionally fragile society are clashing. I better read from this one, Kelp. That's kind of a long one. Okay, so the Alex Jones one was doing that. So now I wonder, I don't watch Alex Jones, but that did cause me to wonder because, So Tribe's View said that I have a I'm sniffing your traffic and doing all that. When I say "Zuck you, Tribe's View," and then I'd say, now would that be considered harassment, danger, what? I don't know. Well, what would that be called? Obviously it's a toy, so. What would that be? How would that? I'm hit. Help. So how would that be perceived? I don't know. That's kind of a question, right? There is no doubt this seemed to break any liability laws in California. Actually, there's a doxing law in California. A large company seems to be targeting your viewers with VPN advertisement. A large company seems to be targeting your viewers. Where are they targeting it? Mad cow. Since I don't have monetization yet, where are they targeting this? Better to hold on Apple safer. There's no doubt it's complicated. You call somebody a name, they harmed themselves around gang. Use Tor. Let the FBI see your. Don't let your ISP know though. Tribe View is like trying to make himself be ultra smart. Okay, are you actually smarter than me, Tribe View? Is that what you're trying to imply here? That you actually know more than I do? I think Tribe View is trying to imply he knows more than I do. Yeah, just some of your statement is like implying that. Oh, by the way, Tribe View said he implied that somehow I'll be. Taking your location. Zach, I've been running Brax.me for how many years? Can somebody tell me what data I've stolen from you? Have you ever been damaged by Brax.me? Has anybody been damaged by any of my products in some way that they revealed your data in any way, sold, given to anyone, or any such fashion? Look at my history. Trust is built by actions, and so you didn't see my comment. I said I was trolling. You can catch a case if you did. Catch a case of what? Of course you're trolling, Tribe View. Yes, Great Gold has been around for a while on Brax. Many of you have been around entire Meyer. Open source. Good to see you, open source. So many of you have been around a while and know that I'm legit. Right? I'm OG, man. OG. Which doesn't mean anything anymore. So I'm not doing this. I would be stupid to be doing this and then be losing my reputation. So my reputation, you've been around. My reputation is extremely important. This is why if somebody says my VPN sucks, then I'd like to make sure that doesn't ever happen. That people don't complain about anything that I have. We'd be in the safe house. Right. So because I'm easily found, and I'm public, then I can't really screw with you. So I always make sure that I give you the best, even with VPNs and so on. So yes, get my VPN. So anyway, how do I send it to Brack instead of email? Rainbow Trail, you give your Brack's. Actually, the way you do it is you sign up for a Social Vision account. I'll give you an example. Rainbow Trail. This is how I do it. You sign up for Social Vision on Brax. Okay, that's a annual subscription on BraxMe. Then that gives you a website, and then the website, on the website you refer to yourself as your domain. In my case, I have one. It's called rob.brax.me. So I say to people, you want to talk to me? Here, rob.brax.me. And guess what happens when you put that on there? It starts a chat immediately on Brax when they join that. When they join it, it starts an automatic chat on Brax. Then you're already in the conversation. They don't even have to look for you. So cops come. So that's what I do. Then I don't have to, my email could say, contact me here, rob.brax.me, hey.brax.me, rainbowtrail.brax.me. And then they go to that website, or you give them the actual link. They click on the website, and they see your website, your landing page, and then they can join right there, and they're talking to you immediately. So that's one way to eliminate the need to ever even have email or any other conversation elsewhere. It's in the store on Brax. If you go to the settings at the Brax store, there's a subscription there. So you want the subscription you want is the one with a website. Yes, I know you're in Brax Rainbow Trail. One with a website. So many of you here have one. There's spiritgamer.brax.me, snarkyart.brax.me, maui.brax.me. There's just so many of you. So they all have a domain, Spotter TV Live or stormmediabrothers.brax.me. There's so many of you with the Brax.me accounts, and you're able to then start a conversation directly without even ever having to give an email address, which is perfect for places like Periscope. Because even on Twitter, on YouTube, when I want people to contact me, I said, contact me on rob.brax.me instead of revealing any email address. So I don't want them to beacon me. One of the things that is danger with email is to get the beacon attack. That's a good idea for a quick reply email message. Now, what I can do is, and this could be a quick project, because you can actually do this already, but I want to make it smoother, is so you can initiate an email from Brax that has the link to the actual message already with an auto login. I can do that. That's something that I can add. So just eliminate the step a little bit, okay? Take off a step, okay? So I'll incorporate that later on. But it's there's some dangers in there, because obviously if somebody intercepts the message, then they can theoretically get into the conversation. So you want to prevent that. Everything that happens on BraxMe is encrypted. So I don't see your messages. I can't read messages. So in all the time that I've been on Brax, I have not read anybody's private message ever. So, be glad about that. I don't know what people are doing. I actually have no idea who's talking with whom. Well, there's ways to find out who's talking with whom, but I don't know what you're talking about. So I don't have any system for tracking any of you on Brax. So I'm very, very proud of that. Very, very proud of that. Anyway, back to what I'm talking about. When it comes to the dangers of doxing and the legality of doxing. So we talked about harassment. Is harassment dangerous? Is harassment against the law? So in some states, harassment is against the law. But the thing is, again, in most states, a harassment is merely a misdemeanor. You don't have a phone number for second ID. I have a phone number for second ID. You can put your phone number for second ID because it's not really used as an identifier, subsam. It's not even visible. It's actually encrypted. So I value your phone number, but in the next week, perhaps by then I'll have an alternate way of giving an identity. using Google Authenticator. So I'm going to start using two-factor authentication using software. So I can use Google Authenticator. Give me a week to get it done, a week or so. And I want to put that in for those people who do not want to put in their phone number. So I'll be putting that. But don't worry about the phone number because I don't have any tracking of that. In fact, your phone number is encrypted. Your email's never shown anywhere. It's only used. You don't get any spam mail from Brax. Email's only used for verifying a password. That's the only purpose here for account recovery. That's the only purpose of that. Okay. Oh, by the way, here's an example I forgot. Here's an example of doxing I forgot. What if somebody doxed us all and said, let's find, I just remembered because of this, you know. I just remembered because of this. What if we doxed every gun owner, put them on a list and say what guns we think they have, and put them on a global list on the internet with their address? How about that? Can you imagine that? Who would use that? The thieves could use that to steal your guns. The state might use that. The anti-gun people might use that. I mean, that's that could be a dangerous kind of doxing. Find out who has guns. Trust me, that's enough data just to show you an example of how even simple things on the internet can actually be used in such a bad way. How about this? Unions, where there's a walkout and those who are not participating are doxed. If you're not participating in a walkout, then they dox you. We had weapons stolen with lots more cops didn't even come make a report. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's dangerous. You publish information. If somebody publishes information about who has what, as far as weapons, somebody will come into your house and take them. Or say, hey, we're anti-gun. We don't like you because you have, more than an average number of weapons in there. And on and on and on. Or you get targeted by the police because they said, hey, I noticed you have a lot of ammo in there. You're stocking ammo, or you're a stocking terrorist, Okay? Now, Kelp will like that. Oh, terrorists, that's good. Okay, I'm just saying how this can affect your freedom. So doxing is a very, very scary thing. And I've told you about employment and so on, how this is used can be used to identify your actions outside of the work environment and cause you to lose your job. They will try to force each of those houses to harbor a 3-letter agent. So I talked about harassment, I talked about stalking, and then there's the other issue of being a threat. Well, I have been threatened here on Periscope. I have received a threat. I don't know who the threat is from. I don't know who the threat is from. The implication is that it's from a corporate entity. That is the implication that I got. That's where the threat is from. It's a corporate entity. Now, it hasn't been revealed to me exactly, and the person is guessing as far as the source, but the person who implied the threat is in theory a hired person, not somebody hired for whatever purpose, and a threat was made, and in theory, because that caused me now to say, well, I better have these in my scopes. This is one of the reasons I have this in my scope. I know it's only a toy, but obviously I know how to handle these things. And if you want to see my my target practice, the targets themselves, and see if I know how to use it, and I can show it to you. But the point is, that's an example of something that actually, in theory, I have a way that would be against the law. I could go to the police for that, because that's, you know, potentially life-threatening, where somebody gives you implied threat. And in theory, that would be, you know, my response to it is just to do this. This is my response. But, you know, in theory, the proper response might have been to contact the authorities, except I don't know who it is. I don't know who it is. You know, the threat was passed through a couple of people, so by the time it got to me, you know, I can't identify who it came from. I saw people from LA that were well better at shooting than police during the 90s riot. Were they Korean, LG Knight? Did you see all the Koreans in the rooftops of the riot zones, and they had all their guns? You could really mess up somebody's hair with that air pressure. I don't know. A airsoft in your eye can really hurt. Yes, they were Korean. Yes. So yeah, I remember I didn't have any guns back then, and my my friends were like offering guns. You need a gun? You need a gun? And I said no, but the riots really came close. It came close enough. So I was living in Beverly Hills at the time, and it actually was stopped at the border of Beverly Hills. So it was, you know, scary. Buildings were burning right at the border, a block away from Beverly Hills. They were burning. So, scary thing. So now those same buildings now have steel fences to protect against riots. So I wonder if they built the Korean places that had the guns. Wonder if they built like sniper stations at the rooftops for future riots. Anyway, changing topics here. Changing topics. So anyway, in my estimation, guys, the reality is your recourse legally in case of a doxing, and you're not a federal agent, is minimal at best. And unless there's an actual fear for your life, if somebody's, you know, trying to trouble your life by irritate you is not to affect your fear of your life. Simple irritation probably wouldn't do it. So if I'm just trying to irritate you, but I didn't, you know, you're not actually afraid of your safety, but you're embarrassed. If I give you embarrassment, I doubt if you can. I doubt. That's true, LG Knight. They had 2 years of. That's right. 2 years of military service from South Korea. Yeah. If somebody embarrasses you, or like just an example here in Periscope with Joe Simon. So they were attacking Joe Simon, and they were calling him names and saying things like scammer, this, that, those kinds of terminology relating to him. That wouldn't be. I don't know I don't think you have any recourse against that, because in a way they're doing free speech. Second, it's an irritation, and it's a statement that they're saying because they actually believe that. So yeah, you're pretty much zocked. So back to the conclusion, as always. What is the answer to all this? The answer is sucking. Don't get doxxed. So simple. May I remind you again, folks, if anyone wants to use my face, he came to Scope, he did scamming. That's true of many people on Scope, Sam. Okay, I remind you again, if you want to use my face and use it on Facebook or whatever else you want to use, you're welcome to. Okay, if the more my face is on the internet in a confusing scenario, just don't use my name. Invent some other name. Use your name. Then you're welcome to use me as a profile picture on Zuckbook or anywhere else. That would be perfect. If somebody would use me as a profile pic on Zuckbook, that would be perfect. He is back on scope. He didn't get scammed. Okay, so if you want to, you know, and part of the reason is that this is an anti-doxing formula. It's called disinformation. Disinformation. So some of you, I caution you, you know, the people here, especially on Periscope and Twitter, who are so adamant about being so political, you still need to upload a profile pic. Not on Periscope though. Use some, you know, I'm talking about a different platform. You might already be on Zuckbook. Somebody already uploaded my face on Zuckbook. Can you take a picture of it then when you see it? At least I want to see who's using it. So, and hopefully not a criminal. Whoever uses it, don't use it for criminal activity. Maybe they'll use your face for Danzo's Twitter profile. So yeah, use it in hopefully in a positive light, but don't use. Just change the name. You know, make me into a meme. Turn me into a meme. That would be fantastic. It won't be long, and agents for athletes and actors will require they feed all social media to a PR person to approve their comments release. Don't they do that now? The only one that's not doing that is Elon Musk and Trump. Kelp. I thought everyone was already doing that except for Elon Musk and Trump. They can't control themselves. So, you know, I'm teaching you to be more cognitive of your actions on the internet, cognitive of your name and pseudo-anonymity, cognitive of, you know, your IP address and how what you post, your IP address identifies you. Let me just spend the next few minutes telling you why Face ID is a terrible combination when combined with doxing. We need an easy way to sign into apps through Brax. You don't want to do that, Sam. You don't want to do a sign in using Facebook kind of thing through Brax. You don't want to do that. That's like, you know when you go to a website and you say sign in using your Facebook account, sign in using your Google account. Oh my gosh, what you're actually doing is when you sign in, you're giving your rights to your own account to be seen by that app. So when you're signing into LinkedIn with a Facebook account, you're actually giving them access to your Facebook account. This is like stupid stuff. I mean, it's like crazy. Why are you fond of Cloudflare? What's so special about Cloudflare? What's so special about Cloudflare? Some people say Cloudflare supports hackers. Can they tweet for you? In theory, they could. Yeah. Yeah. In theory, yes. I don't use Cloudflare, Al Bundy. I use others. And then I also use AWS. So I'm on AWS and others where it's cheaper hosting. Cloudflare is not my choice of cheapest hosting, so I don't. Cloudflare is good for, you know, things that are similar to GoDaddy, you know, preset servers. But if you want to, like I do, I use dedicated servers. I don't use that. So my servers are dedicated. So I don't. Not for hosting for DNS. Not for host. You want to. Not for hosting for DNS. You want to use 1.1.1.1. They claim they don't log, so that probably is good a claim as anything else. Do we know for sure? So if you want to use 1.1.1.1, then it's better than nothing, right? Yeah. Yeah, Al, do it. Yeah, they're all kind of the same to me. So since I use a VPN, it doesn't really matter because they're doing the DNS from the VPN, so the VPN doesn't give them anything. So my VPNs go to 8.8.8.8, which is Google, which doesn't tell them anything because all of the people from the VPN are going to Google, so they can't really identify anything. Right. DNS is often you don't have to specify your DNS subsam. You go connect to your ISP. Your ISP assigns a DNS to you. Domain name server. So if you search for periscope.tv, you go to their server to find out what periscope.tv is. Well, when you do that, they record your IP address so they know, oh, subsam was looking for periscope.tv or porn.com or, sex.com or whatever. So they have a history of that by IP address. So that's one of the reasons you don't want somebody to record it with straight from your computer to the ISP doing a DNS. But when you have a VPN, that doesn't happen because it passes through the ISP. The ISP does not see your DNS traffic, so they cannot really interfere with your DNS if you have a VPN. That's why VPN is essential. It stops your ISP from spying on you. So that's it. You just need a VPN. Done deal. Subsam, I haven't responded to your message on Brax. I forgot. It was a weekend and I was so busy. I forgot to respond to your question. I will respond to your question tomorrow. Sorry, I forgot. Remind me, Subsam, if I didn't respond. I was just so busy over the weekend. I wasn't around. So I can explain what you need. You already have a Tor router, so you just need an upgrade to the Tor router to turn into a VPN. It's just a $50 chip. They'll update it to VPN software. So you need that and then a chip. I haven't checked. Okay. Anyway, any VPN you recommend? Yes, Buddy Tree. Yes, please look at that VPN right there, bytesvpn.com. Now, why do I recommend that VPN, Buddy Tree? Because I used to be on privateinternetaccess.com. I used to be a big recommender of one of the biggest VPNs out there, PIA. And for years, I brought them, hundreds of people signed up to PIA because of me. Hundreds of people subscribed to PIA because of me. Okay? And then PIA zucked us all. Okay? And all these big VPNs zucked us all. And I said, I can't have this. One of the things they did was block email. Then they started to be recognized because they're so big. They're all known to be VPNs. There's no way to hide that now because there's thousands of people. And you're hanging out with hackers and scammers and spammers and so on, and you're being classified under those groups of people, and then you're getting all these captcha codes. It's being very difficult now to use a VPN. So that's why I made my own, which is kind of a hidden away, small, unknown, out of the radar VPN, and that's actually the best for all of us to be out of the radar. Okay, where no one knows it's a VPN and nobody needs to bother us and say, oh, found you, you're in a Zucking VPN. We need to get away from that. It's actually a very bad thing. So that's why I said, enough of this. I've had enough of PIA, and that's when I set up my own VPN. And then on top of that, I made, other hardware things, like a VPN router that I also sell. But one of the advantages of my doing the VPN is that I don't even send you email messages from the VPN. Everything is sent in through Brax.me. So all messages about the VPN are done in an encrypted platform. So we never really talk about it in public. So we don't exchange emails in public discussing it. We just go discuss it on Brax.me, which is also my app. Okay, so for better security. So all announcements and everything else are all done in private. All your passwords and everything are kept on Brax.me. And besides, it's the only VPN with Tor in it, Buddy Tree. My VPN has a Tor routing included with it. So it's your standard VPN and Tor routing. None of the big VPNs have that. None of them. So you're actually getting two products in one for about the same price. You're getting two products, a standard VPN and a Tor routed VPN. And Tor routing is a very, very important thing, especially if you want to do it on your phone remotely. You can only do it with Tor routing. Okay? You can't run a Tor browser. You probably need an upgrade by now. So there's just a chip that's put in, and it upgrades. It turns into a VPN router, and then it uses your Bytes VPN subscription. If some of you want to use my VPN router on another VPN, you can do so. I can configure that for you to use another VPN if you don't want to use mine. But there's no real advantage because my VPN has much more advantages than the other ones because you're not so obvious as a VPN. So it'll be easier for you to use. You won't get as much captcha codes. Okay, when you start using PIA and ExpressVPN and NordVPN and all these, and you're getting so much captcha codes, you're saying, Zuck, they know I'm a VPN at every step, and everywhere you go, they punch you with a captcha code, and you start to say, you know, they know something here. Yes, they do. They know you're in the VPN, so they're trying to fight back against you. So it's really terrible that they're doing that, but what do we do? Because there's bad guys in there with you too. Okay, so that's why I recommend Bytes VPN for the good guys. So kind of a vetted group of people, and because there's not that many of us, my VPN servers are very, very low capacity, meaning there's a lot of space to move. You will not, it's so fast. You don't need to send in the device mobile. I can just give you I can just send a chip. There's an upgrade chip for $50, $49.95. You just plug it in. Oh, sorry, it's $54.95. You just plug it in, and then it turns into a VPN router. And then what's so nice about that is a VPN router, you just use it like a normal router, Wi-Fi router, and then you don't have to think about the VPN. It's always on the VPN. So you never make a mistake of not being on the VPN because it's always on. Randy is headed off safety in LG business. He put a free VPN on his phone. Free VPN is really, really bad. Free VPN is really, really bad. The problem with that, the problem that Randy Horton had was that VPNs were banned in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, a free VPN is not a VPN. Most of them are proxy servers. So the reason he couldn't get a VPN was they're banned in Saudi Arabia. He couldn't even log into Brax.me. So take Pi I got from you and put in a new chip. Yeah, you put in a new chip and you're ready in the VPN. That's all you need. You put in the new chip. Or you get the new version, which is twice as fast. The new hardware is twice as fast. He thought it was for ClearPick. That's not going to do it. Sup, Sam? No. He's in Saudi Arabia. He's in a censored area. So that's, you know, not... you know, he's in a censored area, and it's not the you know, it's not an area of free speech, so they don't want him to be on the VPN. No, he knew that. He knew that. He even couldn't go to Bytes VPN website. They blocked it. The Saudi Arabian government blocked Bytes VPN, the website. So it's like zocked up. Of course, he doesn't need to go to the website to do anything, but I haven't followed up with him. But he needs a real VPN. Yeah, so we can set up a VPN on the side. He claims nothing is censored there. Well, obviously it is. He couldn't go to the website. He said, you know, he couldn't go to the website. He knows that. He knows that. That's very funny. So anyway, it's sorry, not just familiar with your setup. Okay, I want to make it clear because some of you are very confused. Some of you are very confused with terminology and things. So I'm going to make it clear again. Okay. First of all, for doxing safety, one of the things you need is a VPN. This is not an if, and, or but. There's no exception here. Okay. There's no way to be safe on the internet unless you have a VPN, because otherwise they can attach your activities to your identity. So even if you use a different name on some website somewhere and you're using the same device to go to Facebook, they can match the two identities up just because you have the same IP address. Let me again repeat this. You go on LinkedIn with your real name. You go on Twitter with your real name, and you start posting political stuff on Twitter. You're on the same network. You don't have a VPN. What is the end result? They now know that your LinkedIn account and your Twitter account is this one and the same person. So all of your political comments on Twitter are now attached to your business account on LinkedIn. That's what happens when you don't have a VPN. That's a simple example. And how can you not think about that? Because that has a negative effect on your life. And you can say, well, I'm old now. I don't really care about stuff like this. Wrong. Because if you have any kind of opinion politically or whatever, that can translate to your entire family. Everything that anyone does is all connected. You know, it's remember the side channel attack. So we all have to be careful as a group. So VPN is very, very important in doing all this. This is not an exception anymore. Everyone has to do this. Everyone has to be defending themselves with a VPN. Okay, so I sell a VPN. So now what is a VPN exactly? What it is you connect to, you load software on your device, like on my phone. Pretty much all VPNs, commercial VPNs, use something called OpenVPN. This is universal. All VPNs use the same protocol. All VPNs use the same open source server. When somebody says to you, well, my VPN is better, your response is, zuck you. You all use the same software. All VPNs use the same zucking software. Okay, now some of them will put a pretty face on top of it, like PIA. And some of them will add some little tricks at the end of it to trick Netflix, that kind of thing. But the base center of it is always exactly the same. There's actually no difference between ExpressVPN, NordVPN, PIA, all of that, and BytesVPN. They're exactly the same. In fact, the software is interoperable. You can switch devices and you go to any VPN. It will run exactly the same way, because it's just how you configure it. Okay, you can configure it any way you want. All VPNs are the same. Okay, so there's no need to pay extra for a VPN if there's no actual benefit to it. So why is my VPN different? Because I don't just give you the standard VPN, which is the same as everyone else. Okay, because I'm the only VPN with a Tor routing option. And the reason that's special is because I built Tor routers. I've sold a lot of Tor routers. And because I sell the Tor routers, I know how to build the Tor server. So I built Tor servers to route your traffic to Tor instead of to the VPN. Now, what is the difference between Tor and a VPN? A VPN is routed through a single server at a time. Okay? Single server at a time. So when you connect to a VPN, you're connecting to one server, and then your traffic exports from that one server. It's one server at a time. Okay? A Tor connection will come through and it will split off into randomly 3 servers out of 8,000. So no one knows where you're going to come out of in the internet. So a
Tor router is not. They can't find you from Tor. It's pretty much impossible. So when you want to really not be found, then that's when you use Tor. Now Tor is slower than a VPN, so you don't normally do streaming or things like that on VPN. So normally you don't use Tor all the time because it's a little bit slower. If you want speed, use a VPN. If you but you're doing something special, you use Tor. So if I'm gonna search, making a nuclear bomb, then use Tor. If you're, going to do some porn, you might as well use Tor. Stuff like that. Okay. If you're gonna use a VPN, it's faster, and you are identified by a different IP address, which is the IP address of the server. So that's the way VPNs go. You load software on every device, and you put the VPN software in each, which is OpenVPN. So all VPNs are the same. So don't fall for this nonsense about my VPN is better. No, that's not true. My VPN is better, not because we do something different with the software. Everything is identical. It's a matter of what our policies are so that we don't get registered with these people. And our policies on blocking traffic, we don't block anything. We obviously don't log. And so that's, they're all the same. Hey, why you mention me a name? Are they different? Are you telling me Best VPN doesn't use an OpenVPN standard? Is that what you're saying? They don't use OpenVPN? They are all the same. So you got to look for some other differences. The real difference is that I offer Tor routing, and because we are kind of a hidden group, there's not enough of us. It's best though. Okay, so don't fall for the marketing, okay? Because the big companies have the marketing dollars. That doesn't make them any better. There's actually no difference. So what I'm offering is for the same price, you get Tor. So that's my competing value is, you can pay the same price for PIA and NordVPN and so on, or you can pay the same price with me and get two products. You get Tor with it. Same price. So, okay. Now, there is actually no slowdown. When you use a VPN, VPNs have, no traffic limitations. You actually will not realize any kind of speed difference. You can watch, Netflix will block you. So this is what you do when you do Netflix. You turn it off while it's determining where you live. Then you can turn it back on. That's what I do. Because Netflix will block it. So when Netflix says, you're an unblocker proxy, please turn that off. I turn it off for an instant until they acknowledge where I am, and then I turn it back on. Direct tunnel VPN storm. I don't know what direct tunnel you have, Sir Cal. I wonder. Okay, now what does that have to do with my Tor, with my VPN router? Who's blocked your proxy? What does this have to do with my Raspberry Pi VPN router? Now this is different. This is a hardware solution. Okay, this is putting the VPN in a different spot. Who store me? You haven't watched the news. Okay, what is a VPN? You can watch my video, Privacy Gadgets. All of this is on YouTube. Hello, Barry. So the difference is the VPN router is a hardware solution. You don't put software on the phone or on the computer. Instead, you put it on the hardware. So the VPN is on the hardware. It's a Wi-Fi router. So when you connect to the Wi-Fi router through the hardware, this Raspberry Pi, then you're automatically on a VPN. So there's nothing to set up. Okay? So that's actually quite convenient. For one, your computer does not know you're on a VPN. No one in the middle knows you're on a VPN. And only the hardware handles all of that. And the other thing is plug and play, because you don't really have to think about it. So you plug in your router, it's already logged into your account, and it tunnels all of your business through the VPN, and you don't have to think about it. So that's quite an advantage. Okay. Now, why use that? Because then you don't have to set up the software on the phone for every individual device, especially if you have guests. if you have Google Nest, Alexa Echo, Ring, any kind of product that uses the internet cameras, you can pass all that through a VPN by routing them to the VPN router. Xbox, Kodi, all of these gives you an option to route all your traffic through a Wi-Fi that is already VPN'd. So because you can't load VPNs in those. You can't load a VPN on Kodi. You can't load a VPN on Ring. You can't load a VPN on Alexa Echo. You can't load a VPN on your refrigerator. You can't load a VPN on your camera. Okay, so that's why you do it through a Wi-Fi router. So it's a hardware solution that is used on top of the VPN subscription. So there's two things. There's a VPN subscription. That's one separate thing, which you can use for your entire house. So subscription to VPN is $89 a year for your entire household, up to 6 devices simultaneously. You can install it on 50 devices, just 6 simultaneously, which is pretty much your entire household. And then most of the other products only allow 4 to 5 devices. I allow 6. Okay, and I give you Tor with it, so it's 2 products: Tor routing and VPN routing, and that is separate from the router device that I sell. The VPN router, that's completely separate. That's hardware. It's like buying a new router. So that router that I sell is $149. That's $149 for the VPN router, and that is just purchase one time, and then the rest is the $89 a year subscription. So the router is the hardware connector to the VPN, and if you don't want to have it, you don't need it. It's optional. It's optional. You don't need the router to connect to the VPN. You can just load OpenVPN on every device. Okay, just like any one of those other products. Okay, so all VPNs are the same. We all use OpenVPN, so don't get fooled by that. So ours is different, and then they list all the benefits. It's like Zuck. Side question: is that good, being throttled? 5 megabits. If Wi-Fi cafe is being good, that doesn't mean anything. A lot of them have slow internet to begin with. The token is through an app. The token's through an app. My VPN warp speed at 5 p.m. is not my VPN warp speed at 5. Oh my gosh. Do you have a video about making your home Wi-Fi safe? Yeah, it's on. There's a video on. There's a video on YouTube about Wi-Fi settings. Yes. Yeah, it's one of the videos on. It's one of the most popular videos that I have. Settings for your Wi-Fi. Yes. So that's on YouTube. Okay, so don't be fooled by this. So this. It's kind of a trick, marketing trick to say we are so different. Here's one of the tricks that they use. NordVPN. Oh, NordVPN is so special. Why? Because all the servers are not in the U.S. Why is that a good thing? In case you didn't know, there are no warrants required for servers that are in the U.S. to be attacked by 3-letter agencies. They cannot attack a server in the U.S. without a warrant. So I'd rather have my servers in the U.S. Thank you very much. Because the ones I'm worried about are the 3-letter agencies. They all say military-grade encryption. Okay, what is military-grade encryption? It means AES 256. Well, we all use that. We all use AES 256. There's actually not a single difference in any of us. You cannot load a VPN on your Roku, Mad Cow. That's why you have a VPN router. That's why you use a VPN router, so you cannot load VPNs on IoT devices, including your Roku or your Kodi or whatever. Okay? That doesn't help you with Facebook, but yes, It's one of the things you have to do, but being into Facebook means you've pretty much given up any of your rights. Okay? So, yes, that's one of the reasons for the VPN router is you cannot load a VPN on certain hardware, such as IoT devices, Alexa Echo, Google Nest, Ring, on and on and on. By the way, I want to make a comment. Your VPN router costs 100 less than my WDW. That's correct, Mad Cow. That is absolutely correct, Mad Cow. Flash Router sells DDWRT VPN routers for $250 to $500. You are absolutely correct, Mad Cow. Thank you for telling them that. That is correct. My VPN router is $100 less than typical VPN router. Hello, Nikki McIntosh. How are you? So yes, it's $100 less. And it can be turned into a Tor router because you can switch mode. So that is true. You can do that. How are you doing, Nikki McIntosh? So what was that? There was a question. I forgot what the question was. What was it? Relating to. Okay, so Mad Cow was saying they have. So if you go to a website called flashrouters.com, they sell VPN routers. And you can see that what they do is they take existing routers and then they flash it with DDWRT. Yes, you can. You plug in an HDMI monitor and a keyboard, and there's a menu. Change modes. Ask Great Gold does it every day. Yeah, you put a monitor and keyboard, change modes, or if you have SSH, you can SSH to it and do it remotely like I do. I don't go to it, I do it from remote. So I don't need to go physically to the device. I can change modes on a device from my computer. So DDWRT, I can load that for if you want. I can load DDWRT if you want on a real Wi-Fi. It's going to cost you the same as flash routers. That's why I didn't want to sell that. I actually loaded DDWRT on a router. I actually was going to do the same thing that flash routers was doing. And I said, I don't know if this is worth it. I think people will prefer just a smaller one, which is a more specialized use, and it's $100 cheaper. So that's what I started to do. Okay, I just put it on a smaller device, save you $100, because it does cost between $250 to $500 to do VPN routing. But it's much more convenient, guys. I mean, I have to tell you, VPN routing, DDWRT is the open source one. It's not called OpenWRT. It's called DDWRT. It is open source. So, and I have that. I loaded DDWRT on it, and I bought a big one, and by the time I retail that, it will be $250. There's just no way around it because the hardware is more expensive. Okay, it is more powerful because it has bigger antennas, but other than that, it's the same thing. It's doing the same thing. Okay, so since there's no actual difference, and I said, why am I bothering with this? So let me just stick to getting the job done with a smaller package. A Raspberry Pi is much smaller. It's only this big. Okay, so that's my pre-used or refurbished. Yes, ever heard of pfSense? Yes, I've heard of pfSense. Your VPN costs, yeah, because you're actually, what you're paying for, Mad Cow, is labor. So they're basically buying they're buying old routers. No, it has a heat sink. I have not found the need for a fan. So in my case, I don't have one. It just has a heat sink. So I found that, so the way that they do VPN routing is they take some old routers. So there's a stock of old routers, which are a little cheaper than new routers. And then they add their service to it, which, they charge anywhere from, typically $150 to put the software on it for the labor to load the VPN software on it, which I'm giving you for basically $90. Okay? So I'm preloading the software for you for 90 bucks, and then Flash Routers is charging you about 150 for the same thing. Okay? So it's, just so you understand, I'm not trying to trick you here. This is the market cost for this, because it is time consuming to do. Okay? But I mean, this is, 50 bucks here, 50 bucks there. You may not care. That's not big enough to worry about. My Linksys OpenWRT got hacked. Yeah, the DDWRT is the official open source one, though. Okay. So if I don't know if OpenWRT is a what do you call this? A fork. I'm not certain. I'm only aware of DDWRT. Is it a fork of DDWRT? I don't really know. Okay. So anyway. So that's just the range of my products. You need to change your default admin. I have that there. I have the rules, and I have a video for that. LG9 got a video for that on I think less powerful than DDWRT. I don't know what less powerful means. It's just Linux. All DDWRT is Linux. I'm sure OpenWRT is Linux. I'm sure whatever Linksys puts in is Linux. The one I put on the Raspberry Pi is called Raspbian, which is a version of Linux. So so everything is Linux. Okay. Now with mine, there's very limited options that I present to you, because the whole point is not to confuse you with all that. So it's more plug and play. DDWRT is that's for experts. That's not something for average people to go mess around with. The Brax Wi-Fi is pretty much plug and play. It's very basic. You plug it in. You know what I did on mine, John, and anybody else thinking about a Raspberry Pi? I bought a Raspberry Pi with a LCD monitor on it. So that way I don't have to plug in a monitor, and I can see what's going on all the time. So you can never turn it off, though. It's always on. So it's plugged in right now. I didn't bring it here, but the monitor case, it's a case with a monitor in it, cost 28 bucks, and you upgrade your Raspberry Pi with this $28 monitor, and then you can actually see what's going on. The IP address and everything is shown on there, so you don't have to go guess. And the software's already built in. I already wrote the software for that monitor on there. You don't have to load anything. It's already pre-configured. If it realizes you have a monitor, it will work. Nothing else to do. So that's an option as well. So I can tell you exactly which one to buy. You have to buy a very specific one, because I loaded the software for it. So that's kind of, if you're like kind of hobbyist type and you want to see something physical, want to see a screen on your router, then you can add that. It costs 28 bucks. So you could get a base Raspberry Pi without a case, and then get this $28 contraption with a case. Routers get constantly attacked. That's why they're on a VPN, hey? How do you attack a router on a VPN? So I can replace my router with yours. Yes, Mitch, or better yet, you just leave your old router running, and then you plug this into your existing router, so you have two routers. Usually you just plug this into your existing router. So you have the two routers running. So you have one on a VPN and one not on a VPN, if you care. So that's usually the way I would do it. Because the reason is range. Because it depends. How many routers do you have? You may have a range problem. You may decide, like I do. I have two Raspberry Pis, because I got to be in two different parts of the house. So I have, because I need two routers in the house. So I have two Raspberry Pis, one on this side of the house, another on the other side of the house. So that's something to consider. You may need two. Right. If you have only one router, yeah, you can plug into the back of your existing router. All these foreign IPs trying to log into my router. So a VPN router routes traffic through the VPN. Therefore, no one can actually see your IP address at the router side. They can't enter the router at your house. They have to come in through the VPN. But using my Raspberry Pi for streaming, wanted to explore more things I can use it. Yeah, a VPN. So if you have a Raspberry Pi already, it depends on which version you have. I have a Raspberry Pi B version and a B plus version. It's in my store, or you can just talk to me in Brax.me to see what exactly you need. Yeah, it's in the store link on Bytes VPN. It will go to the same store, and you can see the products on there. So there's a video about it, Mitch. It's on YouTube. There's a video on YouTube. So just look at the video on YouTube that shows it. It's called Privacy Gadgets. And you'll see it actually shows you the menus on it. Okay, so you see it. And then the link is right there. And then, Sir Calb, for those of you who already have Tor routers, okay, my Darth very weak. For those of you with Tor routers already, like Subsam and Sir Calb and Great Gold, and many of you have Tor routers. For those of you with Tor routers, you can upgrade it to a VPN software with a discount. So if you already have my Tor router, I sell the chip for a discount. Okay? So if you already have a Tor router, you can get it for a discount. If you don't have a Tor router, then you have to pay the regular price. And then I have a B version and a B plus version, because there's two Raspberry Pis. Raspberry Pi B, 3B, and 3B plus. So if you have the B version, you get different software than the B plus. I recommend upgrading to the B plus if you can afford it, because the B plus is twice as fast. So I recommend the B plus. But if you already have a Pi 3, you can use it even as a secondary. You want triple D? B, not D. Yeah, B plus is faster. The B plus is faster. But my discount is for the B. If you already have the B, you get and you already have Dart Wi-Fi on it. Does the Bluetooth actually work on the router? It does, but you'd have to configure it for whatever purpose. Like you can use it for keyboard, Bluetooth keyboard, for example. I'm thinking about getting the monitor case for my VPN router. It's kind of fun. I'll give you the link. I'll give you the link, entire Meyer. It's kind of like a hobbyist thing. So you can access settings from laptop, phone. Correct, John. Yes, you can access the settings from laptop or phone using SSH. The instructions are in the manual. So on a Mac, it's direct. Just on a Mac, go to the command line. You type SSH with the command line on it. You will connect directly. If you're on a iPad, laptop, you need an SSH app, which there are many SSH apps. There's one called Termius. It's the geek in me. Entire Meyer, the geek in me got it. I said, for 28 zucking bucks, I want to be a geek. You know what I got to entire Meyer? I bought like camera. I bought like remote camera things. I said, maybe I can turn my VPN router into a remote camera too. So I got a camera setting for it and all that. You know, it's just a hobbyist in me. Link for screen, I'll give you that. I think though it's actually fork of open, not the other. Really, LG Knight? DDWRT is the fork? Wow. Thinking about the Bluetooth on the new Raspberry Pi, you haven't been able to use it. It may require different software. I do use, I plug in a Bluetooth keyboard into, I use a Bluetooth keyboard in my, on my Raspberry Pi. So I know Bluetooth works because I use a Bluetooth keyboard with it. Super geek. Well, it's kind of fun. Entire Meyer. I mean, I have to admit, it's, you know, what the heck, you know, we're boys. We like gadgets. Boys like gadgets. So I like gadgets. So I'll do it. Even it's like, what's the benefit? I'm not going to go look at the screen. I'm going to tell you, you know, you're waiting for it to boot, and you don't know what it's doing. I hate looking at a box not knowing what it's doing. So I like the monitor because I see, oh, it's booting. Then I can see the messages, and it makes me feel good. Is it worth the money? I don't know. It's only $28. Big deal. It's with an adapter, but it's supposed to be built in on the new one. Yes, yeah, but you'd probably have to configure it though. Yeah, I haven't tried it, to be honest. I haven't tried. The reason I haven't tried it is because I really connected with it using SSH. Get it because it's there. I use SSH. I don't really hardly ever. I just need to look at the monitor occasionally, usually to get the IP address. And to make it easy, when you use the monitor version of the Raspberry Pi, I actually put the IP address right on the Doxxing screen. So you look at it and say, oh, there's the IP address. Then I can go to my computer and SSH to it. So easy. Now, for some of you say, what the zuck is this guy talking about? What is all this SSH, all these geeks in here? The reality is, for most of you, the device is completely plug and play. You plug it in and it turns on and it's running. You don't really have to do anything. I pre-configured for you for your account before it leaves here. That's the way it is for most people. I'm just talking to the geeks here. So for the geeks, I'm telling you how to be geek-like. Okay? But for the non-geeks, then you don't have to worry about that. This is the dessert portion of the show. Gadgets. Yeah, the gadgets. The gadget portion. So I love the gadgets. I was thinking about what I could do with the Raspberry Pi. You know, I've been trying to get it to be a VPN router for a very long time, and it was kind of difficult to do. It shows, by default, it says home Wi-Fi. Yeah, plug in the micro SD card, and it boot it, and it will show up as home Wi-Fi. And the password is always the same. It's on the the documentation. And then if you want to change any of that, then just SSH in or attach a keyboard. Wiki says there's over 3,000 forks of open. Really, that many? See, I've never used any of those. I've only used DDWRT. Yeah. So when you plug it in, it says home Wi-Fi. So that's it. You plug it in. Boots. Oh, home Wi-Fi is there. Okay, what's the password? Well, it's in the manual. I'm not going to announce it here on the broadcast, but it's going to be obvious to you when you look at the manual. And then that's a default. If you want to change it, you can change it. But without touching it, it's already done. No, because Darth people were feeling they were not being stealthy by saying Darth because they were like being too obvious. So the name now is less obvious, home Wi-Fi. Because nobody knows what that is. It's like, okay, home Wi-Fi. Okay, it's just nothing serious now. I could have called it FBI van. Should I even call it FBI van? So Donzo is now utilizing this information on Twitter via profile pic. Oh, gosh. Via profile pic. So hello, Nervous Vegas. So anyway, this is, I am renaming it to FBI van. Yeah, I'm I love to make these gadgets for you. I use it all myself. For myself, I have two VPN routers, one in one part of the house for my guests, and then one next to me in my bedroom, and one's 2.4 gigahertz, one's 5 gigahertz. So I have a couple options. I can reach the 2.4 gigahertz from anywhere as well. Police Wi-Fi, and then the 5 gigahertz is more limited range. So that's the difference between that. The Raspberry Pi B does not have 5 gigahertz. That's why if you want 5 gigahertz, you should get a Raspberry Pi B+. I named Xfinity Wi-Fi Room 101. This Pi is 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. Yes, so the B+ is both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, and you can choose it in the settings. By default, I ship it to you using 5 gigahertz. So as shipped, it's in 5 gigahertz mode. So if you want to change that, you can change it. But normally it's already set for the best use in both cases. So it's really simple. So these are things I use every day. I'm going to tell you just the handiness of being able to log into the Wi-Fi and always know that, I don't have to think about anything. Many times I forget to load the VPN on my computer and I say, Zuck, what did I just do? Okay? So do you actually want to be caught on your computer with your computer? And then you say, okay, let me log into a porn site now and my VPN is off. Zuck, what did I just do? Okay? So that's the excellent thing about a VPN router is you don't have to think about any of that because you're always on. No matter what device you're using, the mere fact that you connect it to the Wi-Fi, you're always on the VPN. And that just simplifies life. I mean, when I'm out of the house, then I can use the open VPN on the phone itself. But in the house, where it's the most dangerous, I'm going to tell you what the benefit of this all is. Some of you don't understand the benefit of this. I'm going to give you a real life explanation of this. I went to Skyhook and downloaded the software from Skyhook. Skyhook Wireless, the location tracking company. So I actually signed up with them, and I actually tracked my own IP address. Yes, you can substamp, but you have to load the software on your phone when traveling, though. You have to load OpenVPN on the phone when traveling. Follow the standard installation for the VPN without the router. The router is for your home. Okay, so back to what I'm saying. So I went to I forgot what I was saying. What was I talking about? I just drew a blank. What was I talking about? Somebody remind me, what was I talking about? You use OpenVPN on your Raspberry. What was I talking about? Skyhook. Oh, okay. So because of the fact that I use a VPN all the time and my entire household is on a VPN, we're very careful of what apps, we're very careful about phone settings and all that. I check my home IP address on Skyhook, and my home IP address is not registered. They don't have any records of the exact location of my home IP address. They do it by experience. So they collect from social media apps and whoever's selling information on your data, your IP address. Skyhook buys that, and because of my care. And we're not 100% here. We make mistakes. So we may be at 90%. 90%. Okay, I have guests who don't use the VPN and so on. So I have problems, but 90% of the time we're all careful. And as it turns out, even that 90% has been perfect so far because we don't register a location. The location I'm shown to be, 8 miles away. So if you draw a circle around 8 miles, I mean, that's a big area. We're talking about, how many square miles? I mean, that's a big zone. So that's, could be 16 miles square. That's where they think I am. 16 mile square area. Well, that's pretty awesome. Okay? So that's if you ask, is there any importance in this? Yes. I mean, look at that. Now they can't profile me based on that. They can't dox me and say, we know where you live, we know who you are. we can find you within 6 zucking feet. No, Apple can find me within zucking feet. Android can find me within 6 zucking feet, but at least commercial products out there cannot. In LA, that's a big area, yes. Mine's 24 miles out. So that's what happens when you're careful. Just think about the anti-doxing thing. You are pretty much, making it really, really difficult to get doxed just by doing these little simple things, like having a VPN and so on. And good thing I started this before, when Skyhook was just getting into business. So I've been doing it for this amount of time, and it's good. So remember, they have a track of every single router. They could have found me a long time ago. The only reason they haven't found me was because I'm on a VPN or a Tor. And I am so careful. Guys, I am extremely careful. If I do something and I accidentally did not go to Tor or VPN, I go crazy. I say, what did I just do? Suck. Somebody just saw that. And that's how you got to think, that this is not hyper privacy. You have to be aware that everything is so exposed. Somebody's looking at your traffic. Okay? And just imagine there's a guy like watching your traffic every second. It's like, oh, look. Donzo just went to the porn site. Think about that. Okay? You always have to think that way. It's actually that's a good imagery to put on your head, that, whatever you're doing there. Oh my gosh, he's going to the nuclear site. Okay? Oh, it's going to the anti-Trump site. So, gotta make sure that, you're aware that somebody's looking at it. If you're aware of that, then you're protecting yourself from the skyhooks. So I am glad that Skyhook didn't have information. Skyhook claims to, have precise location, certified location, and then I used my own data, and it was not precise. My security cams can't be accessed remotely unless I turn off the VPN on my device. That's a good thing. You could be me. I bet they're feeding into info to Santa Claus. Then if you want your camera to be open to the internet, which I would never want to do, then do not put your camera on the VPN. Yes, pass it through your normal router, because I don't like that. Most of them are done, by passing a temporary IP through some channel, not by opening up a port. A lot of you set up a open port and do something called port forwarding on the router to handle a camera. Very, very unsafe. I don't do that. Some will provide an app that will do it another way, but doing port forwarding is not safe, because that actually opens you up to hacking. Okay, somebody will hack your camera, so I don't like to do that. Anyway, I don't know what video I'll be making this week, but I'm sure I will make one. So watch out for videos in the middle of the week, and then we'll see you back again here on Friday. And if you have any questions about hey, unknown person, Rob, if you have any questions about some of the products and you want to know more, contact me on Brax.me. Brax.me, again, is the safest platform for conversation. And in all the years that Brax has been around, no one has ever been spied on. No one. Guaranteed. If somebody's been spied on, let me know. No one's told me anything. For these many years, with all the Periscope users on there are 8,000 people from Periscope on Brax, and no one's come to me and said, "Oh, we got hacked. We got our data got stolen. Whatever." That's never happened. So safe place. Okay, Rob, unknown person. Good night, my friend. So good night, guys, and thank you for watching. And hopefully, by the end of the week, we already reached 4,000. By Friday, I hope we're already at 4,000 hours, which is my goal on YouTube. So I'm, should be 3.8 something now, 3.9, pretty close. Okay. Good night, guys. Good night, my friends. Good night, geeks.